We learned last night that Senator McCain would return to Washington for today's vote. The news comes less than a week after the senator was diagnosed with an aggressive brain tumor. According to the New York Times, Majority Leader Mitch McConnell will put forward the same bill that narrowly passed the Senate. If that succeeds, the Senate would then, the House, that would take up multiple amendments or even wholesale substitutes for the House bill. Joining us from Capitol Hill, Republican Congressman Charlie Dent of Pennsylvania. Congressman Dent was one of the few Republican no votes on the House GOP's health care bill to replace Obamacare that passed in May. Joe, I'll give you the first question.
Yeah, hey, good to see you, Congressman. It's so fascinating hearing the president talking about the American people being tortured by Obamacare. The nightmare that's been Obamacare. Obviously, you know the polls and have seen them. We've seen the polls. Obamacare is more popular now than it's ever been. Over 50% of Americans now support that bill because it's seen as the alternative to the House and the Senate bills, which maybe 15, 20% of Americans support. What is going to happen? Any idea what's going to happen in the Senate today? And what are you hearing from your constituents in Pennsylvania about these Republican health bills?
Well, first, let me tell you this, Joe. I don't know what's going to happen in the Senate today, but I will tell you that I think the fundamental problem so far is that the Senate is using the House bill. The House bill is structurally similar to what the Senate has proposed, and I think that's been a very big mistake. Senator McCain got it right the other day when he said that we shouldn't make the same mistake that Democrats did, trying to muscle a health care reform through on a partisan basis. We're going to have to do something in a more collaborative, bipartisan way, work this from the center out. There are a lot of problems with Obamacare. We all know that. There are things that we can fix in the employer mandate. There are all kinds of changes we can make. But I think trying to do this on a partisan basis is a mistake, was a mistake, and continues to be a mistake.
Well, I think at this point, there's a lot of questions about the president's tweets this morning, even about his own attorney general. I think it's completely fair to ask this question. Do you have confidence in the president and his ability to lead at this point?
Well, I'm very concerned about the continuing drama, chaos, instability, and dysfunction coming out of the White House. You know, I've come to expect a certain amount of dysfunction in government, but they have taken the fun out of dysfunction. This is really tough, and I am not having. This is not easy for any of us. I mean, you know, they're talking about the FBI director gets fired now, trying to, you know, push the attorney general out, and there was discussion last week about, you know, pushing out or firing Mueller. I mean, you know, you can't fire the FBI. The investigations are going to continue. I mean, I don't understand why all this interference. It's not helpful, and it's very distracting. We have a lot of work to do up here on Capitol Hill, but we deal with this daily drama, and it doesn't make our jobs any easier.
Joe.
Harold Ford, Charlie Dent, a Republican from Pennsylvania, has just given the Democrats their slogan for 2018, Donald Trump, taking the fun out of dysfunction.
Yeah. In a big way. You wanted to talk about that slogan, Harold. There you go.
I think the better deal pieces is not the right thing, but we can come back to that. Charlie, good to see you. Let me ask you this. Are you hearing from other Republicans in the House the sentiment that you express and the frustration you express not only around health care, but has it spilled over to the fact that you haven't been able to get the taxes and infrastructure, or for that matter, other parts of the agenda that may have attracted Republicans to President Trump?
Yeah, look, I have conversations with my colleagues privately. They're very frustrated and concerned, too. Hey, this week, you know, we're supposed to be dealing with the appropriations bill. I'm an appropriator. My bill's moving this week, military construction, VA. But we're not able to deal with the basic elements of governing right now. We have to get appropriations bills passed. We have to deal with the debt ceiling. Those are the big issues. I'd like to get into a bipartisan budget agreement, put the debt ceiling together, get it done. That would free up time and space so we can deal with issues like, hey, tax reform or infrastructure. And so I think, but you know, we're dealing with all this drama down the street at the White House. It's hard to focus on our agenda, and certainly nobody's paying attention to it when you're talking about the tweets all day.
John.
Congressman, the obvious subject of great interest at this point is the health care vote situation happening in the Senate. The president, there's been some lack of clarity about what the president's actual position has been over time. It's shifted. He said different things at different times. We now have a tweet from him that Mika just read this morning where he says Democrats have fooled people long enough. Repeal and replace. I have pen in hand. I just ask you as a matter of just constructive leadership, is it helpful to have the president expressing that position, which is basically, I'll take either?
No, it's not. Frankly, I think one of the failures of this health care debate is that we need strong executive leadership. I think it's very important for a president to lay out his principles or his bill and then let Congress chop on it, not simply critique what's going on in Congress. Yeah. I think it's pretty hard to make a case that I'll sign a repeal replace bill or a repeal only bill. What are the president's principles? We never laid them out. Healthcare has been outsourced to Congress. And frankly, that same thing happened with President Obama. He outsourced the healthcare issue to Congress as well. But I don't think this is at all helpful. It really isn't. That's been the frustration, I think, for a lot of us. The strong executive leadership demands that the president put a proposal on the table, then Congress should chop on it. The president shouldn't be critiquing everything that happens in Congress.
All right, Congressman Charlie Dent, thank you so much. It is always great to see you. Always great to have you on the program. Thank you.
Thanks for checking out MSNBC on YouTube, and make sure you subscribe to stay up to date on the day's biggest stories. And you can click on any of the videos around us to watch more from Morning Joe and MSNBC. Thanks so much for watching.